Hey guys, and welcome back to an episode of KalaGameplay, in my second attempt at what should have been an impromptu episode, but more on that in a moment. This is a KalaGameplay of a demo for a game I have been looking forward to for a long time now. But before we get into that, what is Shadowgate? Well, Shadowgate is a point-and-click adventure game from 1987, made by ICOM Simulations for Macintosh, and it was later ported to the NES in 1989. Fast forward to 2014, and a company, Zojoi, formed by the original guys who made Shadowgate from ICOM, and a remake comes out, which I thought was excellent. It got me back into Shadowgate in general, and that's available on a ton of platforms now, between PC and consoles. And that remake had a tease at the end for a continuation of the story in what I assumed was going to be a remake of the same titled Beyond Shadowgate, which came out on the TurboGrafx-16 in 1993, but it's not. However, last I'd looked into that a few years back, it had seemed as if maybe the project had gone dormant, if not cancelled. The reason this version of Beyond Shadowgate is so special, however, is because Zojoi teamed up with indie developer Graph Metal Games to make this version of Beyond Shadowgate more based off of their original design documents that they had drafted up back with full intent of making it for a release in 1993, in the same vein as the original, as a Mac venture, probably to be ported to other systems and such, from what I understand. But the company at the time, ICOM, wanted to go in different directions and ended up having a different team use a lot of their concepts, but build an entirely different game than what they had initially intended or hoped for. And that is what we're getting now. A modern 8-bit style, which is what Graph Metal is known for, having made their own games inspired by the old Mac Venture series. So this feels more like the sequel we never got, which gives it a different visual style than the 2014 remake of the first game, more in line actually with my first introduction to the series, because I grew up playing it on Nintendo. And while I did love the sort of, how to describe it, more modern sort of painted motion comic stylings that the 2014 one had, as well as the reorchestrated music from the NES version, and I will indeed miss that, I'm perfectly happy with the visual direction they chose with this, especially in the context of unearthing the sequel that never was, from way back when. And Shadowgate 2014 had a sort of pixelated retro option you could toggle on for nostalgia if you wanted, but that didn't do much for me, to be honest, whereas this looks and feels legit, technically better than even, and I love it. But anyways, imagine my surprise when, on a whim, after watching an old favorite YouTuber, Padugan's LP of Shadowgate 2014, my finding of a completed Kickstarter, demo, and renewed excitement when I decided to take another look just in case. I was hopeful, but with no expectations of what I'd find. I mentioned a moment ago how this is my second attempt at doing a KalaGameplay of this demo of Beyond Shadowgate, and that's because unlike most times I do something like this, it wasn't planned ahead of time at all initially, and the screen cap software I have access to is finicky. So I encountered a problem that was a first and unforeseen, and everything I recorded for the gameplay, which I thought I had, turned out blank. It was just an empty window with a black screen. And it was something silly and as simple as toggling through a different setting on the screen capture software. I don't think I'll make the same mistake again now that that happened, because I was super disappointed and really bummed about it all. But I do know better to not run more tests before jumping in. I was just too damn excited to try out the first parts of Beyond Shadowgate. So yeah, my original hopes of having this be a first-time playing experience were kind of dashed. But that's okay. Here we are now, ready to try again, because we love Shadowgate. And we do have an awesome cheerleader behind the scenes, and that makes a huge diff too. And obviously, having finished this relatively short demo, I now know what to do, which will make this a lot shorter, but also, in some ways, if not many, less embarrassing. Shadowgate is a series of trial and error, A comedy of fools as you try your best to explore and survive the dangers and mysteries before you. As the old saying goes, especially with retro and retro style point and clicks, save early, save often. So, without any further ado, let us venture beyond Shadowgate. Before we do, though, we have an intro. "35 years have passed since Jer defeated the Warlock Lord in the caverns beneath the living castle, Shadowgate. For many summers, the land of Kaltorlin prospered, and the events at Shadowgate began slipping from memory. But evil is stirring, scheming to bring the world to ruin. Gwynethel, the shining jewel of Kaltorlin, has lost its king. Unrest and civil war have swept peace from the land. Amid the madness, a poor Fendling has been cast into a dreary dungeon at the mercy of murderous prison guards. But this is just the beginning of a journey that will push him to the edge of destruction and beyond." You are a carefree Fendling named Del Thornborough, who has the knack for accidentally acquiring things. You have been accused, unjustly in your mind, of stealing a small trinket from the hand of the Duchess of Trehelm. The Duke didn't seem to understand that you were merely safekeeping the bauble for the Duchess. Against the riffraff and lowlifes that are commonly found in the capital city of Gwynethel. Unceremoniously dumped in this dark cell, you wonder at your fate, and at the horrible luck that deprived you of a fair trial. Hoarse from shouting and bored beyond the limits of even the most tolerant Fendling, you realize you might as well focus on escaping. And that is where we begin. I think I might be saying Gwynethel, and it might be Gwynenthel, so we're gonna check the next time that comes up. Either way, it's very elfy sounding. Okay. So, like I said, it's gonna be a lot quicker now that I know what to do. But I will save a couple of times before certain doom and do the wrong thing on purpose, just so we can see what happens. And another difference I noticed between the original Shadowgate and this is that one has you keep a torch lit at all times, and if it goes out, you do not last long. You die from stumbling around in the dark, or something in the dark getting you, or what have you. So you don't have to worry about that, at least so far in this. But there's timed events which are kind of new, so... Let us begin and start looking around. The sturdy door looks to be a formidable barrier. You should know because you've kicked at it for a good 5 minutes after they threw you in here. Okay, and we can't look out the bars specifically, so... These are sturdy iron chains designed to hold the strongest human without fail. Luckily, they were not designed to hold Fendlings, and you easily escaped moments after being locked up. And Fendlings, from what I gather, are basically halflings or hobbits, or maybe gelflings, like in Dark Crystal.
Fendling.
Okay. Can we look at the grate? I can't remember. Nope. This dark and damp cell confirms your belief that this is the most inhospitable dungeon in which you've been incarcerated. So far. Looking the dry straw over, you decide against lying down upon it. This straw is fit for nothing less than kindling for a bonfire. Which is a big hint for us. So, we do have flint, if you notice, in our inventory. A small piece of flint, the kind that's used to start fires. And we also have a farthing, one piece of Fendling currency. They didn't even think it was worth taking from you when they threw you in jail. Anything else we can look at other than the bench here? Judging by the scrape marks, you guess that this bench is not bolted to the floor. I think that's everything we can look at in here, but let's quickly save now that we've gotten started. And let's try and open the door. The hulking figure of the guard approaches the door. Quiet if you know what's best, else I'll come in there and teach ye some manners. A maniacal chuckle follows the proclamation, lending credence to his threat. Alright, so how do we get out of here, I wonder? I say, who's already mentioned before I've done this. Alright, so let's try and use the flint on the straw. Huzzah! With great expertise, you strike the flint against the straw, creating a small shower of sparks. Or rather not huzzah yet. Despite your effort, none take hold and a flame does not yet appear. And I spent a good while on my first attempt trying to figure out how I could fan the embers and make these flames actually become so. And it was super simple. That's not what you do. All you do is continue striking the flint until you get more sparks and bigger fire. It was that simple. You strike the flint, creating another shower of sparks that land upon the straw. You jump with glee as the straw slowly starts to burn. And again. Bingo. Smelling the smoke, the guard comes rushing to the cell. You hear keys jangling as he releases the lock and pulls the door open. Surprisingly quick for such a heavy man, the jailer rushes forward and grabs you by the neck. You'll not be playing any more of your silly games, says the jailer, as he begins to choke you. As his hands tighten and the world begins to fade, you wonder if the guy knows he has bad breath. You have died, the skies darken, and the world is doomed. So I actually didn't get to see that last time, because I did do one thing right last time that I purposefully did wrong this time. So we're gonna go back and fix that. Okay, so before we light the fire, we want to move the bench in front of the door. Grunting with some effort, you push the heavy bench across the cell until it rests against the front of the door. Now we can light that fire. Boom. Let's try this again. Smelling the smoke, the guard comes rushing to the cell. You hear keys jangling as he releases the lock and pulls the door open. In his haste to rip your head from your shoulders, he fails to notice the bench. You can't help but smile at the astonished look on his face before he takes a rather ungraceful dive. And drops his keys in the process. Alright, let's get those keys. You pick up the jailer's keys. Let's quickly have a look at him before we get out of here. The unconscious form of the jailer lies sprawled on the floor in front of you. He'll probably fill that one in the morning, you exclaim proudly. Save again. Okay. Let's make like a baby and head out. You lithely jump over the bench as you exit the cell. Realizing you are still in a dungeon, you stifle your excitement and keep your eyes open for danger. Knowing that the door to your cell is still open, you wonder if that guard could still be a threat. I'm guessing if I don't close that door, he will eventually catch up to me or wake up, or something bad will happen. I'm going to actually go ahead though and close that door now, just to be safe. It's what I did last time. You quickly close the cell door and smile as you hear the lock slide into place. That takes care of that brute, you think. An ephemeral creature appears before you. It speaks. Hang on, just a sec. Teehee, look at you, Dell. What an interesting thing you are. I foresaw you rotting in that cell forever. And yet, here you are, defying your fate. This could be such fun. I believe our journeys follow a similar path. So I will join you for now. Much danger lies ahead. And I will give you advice should it please me. Performing magic for you mortals is so tiring though, so let me rest after I help. Adventure awaits, and I find this dungeon quite tiresome. So let's go! And this character is basically your built-in hint system, which I know the 2014 version of Shadowgate had. And if you find yourself stuck, you can click on them and they'll give you a hint about the room. I found it really helpful last time as a final check before leaving a room to make sure there wasn't something I had missed, because if there's nothing else to do, then she'll let you know. But let's take a look at this corridor real quick. The bleak dungeon corridor reminds you that you are still in danger. Simple enough. Look out the window. Even standing on your toes, you can see out the window. Can we look down the hallway further? You hear the sound of movement echoing in the distance. Let's move ahead. This guy at the end of the hall here is bad news. When I came through though, I thought he was facing me, but he hasn't noticed me yet. A hulking beast, a Minotaur by the looks of the horns, patrols the hallway, mere feet in front of you. He got me killed a few times in just a bit, which I know how to avoid now, but we'll make sure we see at least one Minotaur death. Let's have a look at the doors. As you investigate the locked cell door, you notice it is stained. Your stomach gives a lurch, hoping the stain is not what you think it is. The wooden boards are too tightly jammed into their brackets to move. You are familiar enough with dungeons to know there is no unlocking this door. And there's a few doors and things like that that will appear that are just for set dressing. And if you look at the bottom here on this map, it tells you where on the screen your corresponding entrances and exits that are actually usable are. So, and you can click on those boxes too instead of up here on the screen like I've been doing. Let's have a look at the torch. The flickering light from the torch momentarily mesmerizes you. You are not tall enough to remove the torch from its holder. You don't feel like you need it anyway. That's this game's way of telling you that you won't have to do that. But I am sure everyone immediately went to grab it, like I did last time, if they're coming to this from the first Shadowgate. Alright, so carefully we're going to unlock the door on the left, because the way ahead is blocked as long as the Minotaur is there. With a satisfying click, the bolt inside the lock releases. The hinges groan as the door slowly opens. I thought my number was up then and there because of the sound. And that's my Quest for Glory 4 showing, because in that game you have to oil the hinges on doors when you're sneaking around the castle, so it doesn't make any noise and alert the guards, or whatever. Oops, I already opened it. Let's just move on through. Let's have a look at the skeleton here. A dried stain on the floor around the skeleton matches that of the door. You wonder who this person was that suffered such a horrible fate. The smell of iron and rot assault your nostrils, and you feel a terrible sensation as you gaze upon the remains of a once living person. Okay, it's the same thing there. What you got, Mr. Skeleton Man? It's a fine leather strap with the crest of, let's see, Gwynenthel. Fine leather strap with the crest of Gwynenthel engraved in a diamond-shaped center. Let's take the strap. You remove the remnants of the strap from the skeleton. The ominous sound of steps can only be the Minotaur approaching. Alright, here's where we got killed last time. I'm gonna go ahead and see if it'll let me save so we don't have to grab all this stuff again. And then I'll let him kill me, rather than do what I need to do to survive first. You decide stealth is your only chance for survival. As your mind erases, your new friend pipes up. Teehee, the eyes of the Reaper are upon you. Such fun. You have mere seconds before death takes you. Act, or you will die. And, actually, I think it might let me just continue right where I left off. It has an auto-save, kind of built in, or at least when you continue after dying, it, lets you try again. Doesn't actually auto-save, we still gotta do that. So we're just gonna kind of stand here, actually, and see what happens. Though I spent a good few tries trying to figure out how I could be stealthy, or how I could lock the door, or block the door. I tried to open the grate at the bottom and climb down there like Philippe the Mouse from Lady Hawk. All wrong. Waiting to be killed. Without warning, the hulking figure of the Minotaur appears in front of you, crushing the skeleton under its weight. Before you can utter a sound, an axe tears your body asunder. Mercifully, your death took but a heartbeat. With your failure, evil has prevailed. Yeah, it lets us pick up right where that happened. So this is all you gotta do, guys. Hang on. Close. Door. The door shuts moments before the hideous face of the Minotaur appears beyond the bars. He catches the faintest trace of your scent and stands firm just outside the doorway. You hear the heavy thud of footsteps echo in the distance as the Minotaur gives up and continues his patrol. You survived again, remember this, Del. You must act quickly when you sense the Reaper's gaze, or you will surely perish. I don't fear the Reaper myself, but nor do the wind, nor the sun, or the rain. I choose to be like they are. Let's save, and move on. And this kind of becomes a repeated process. When you have to enter one of these cells, you do what you gotta do and then close the door, wait for him to pass, and escape. That is until we can figure out how to actually deal with him, because I don't think he'll actually let us get out of here without us stopping him, so... one way or another. Okay, so we've seen everything I think there is to see in this hallway, but just as an example of what our little fairy friend, or whatever sort of fey creature she is, can do, let's, there's nothing of interest here. Try going somewhere else. And every time you click her, or she is, done resting so you can ask for hints again, they go, "Hey!" Okay. There's Mr. Mini up there again. That door there is just another, unpassable set dressing one. This locked cell door is strongly built, ensuring those imprisoned within will not get out. I believe it is also locked. This locked cell door is strongly built. Yeah, okay. Let's open it. Can't open the jailer keys, I knew that. The Minotaur continues his patrol, stopping just outside the cell. You hear his breath beyond the door, sending chills through your body. Oh, that's right, when she wakes up, she goes, "Right here!" The Minotaur continues his patrol. You are safe for now. Let's see who this is. Unlike the last guy, this one is still breathing. You keep a wary eye on the filthy prisoner, hoping that he won't touch you and give you some disease. Okay, so we want to speak. Who are you, Fenley? It matters not. I am Edward of the King's Guard, Master of the Artillery Division. Moons ago we were escorting the King to the southern docks, when we were ambushed by assassins. While many soldiers of the Guard were killed, a few of us were imprisoned here to rot. The smells of this dungeon are of Gwynenfell, which tells me that friend has turned foe. I know nothing else, but I may be able to help you. Ye had no hope in combat against the Minotaur. Perhaps ye can use this rope to build a ranged weapon. Find a cradle and a small projectile. You can form some kind of rudimentary lathe. Alright, let's take that. You lean forward and extend your fingers far to grab the rope, trying to keep as far away from the malodorous prisoner as possible. And I think that's all we can do in here. But let's ask her. Yep, nothing of interest. Let's save. There he is again, further down the hall. As is usually customary in dungeons, the door is locked. These manacles were probably used to hold some poor wretch awaiting their execution. For the time being, they are unoccupied. Yeah, we gotta unlock it first. With a smile, you gently turn the key in the lock, releasing the mechanism. The Minotaur continues his patrol, stopping just outside the cell. Yep, here we go again. Here is breath again. Close the door before he gets us. The Minotaur continues his patrol. You are safe for now. Now, I don't know, some of you guys might say Minotaur, which is actually what I used to say a lot, but I believe it is technically Minotaur. I have gone back and forth, but I've been saying Minotaur, I think, more often for the past several years. Anyways, let's have a look at this chap. Staring at the unfortunate man, you can't help but think about your uncle's cousin's nephew. I don't think I did that last time. Who was thrown into a dungeon much like this one. I thought it was nephew's brother's cousin.
Cousin's sister's brother! How many times do I have to tell you that?
He stayed there for 3 days before realizing that the guards didn't lock the door. In this case, however, the sturdy manacle set about his ankle tells a different story. Let's talk to him. Find out what he's all about. Excuse me? Listen, Fenling, go quickly from here, lest we both be killed. Escape this dungeon. Tell the people that Joshua, the king's counsel, is unjustly imprisoned. It has been ages since our party was assaulted and the king captured. They intend us to die here, but I refuse. I pried this stone from the wall, but these forsaken manacles cannot be broken. Take it, find a way out, and free us from this pit. Take it. You take the hard circular stone from the prisoner's hand. I got a rock. Okay, so let's do a quick inventory check. Flint, farthing, keys, leather strap, rope, and stone. Now we have everything we need, I think, to form the sling we're going to need. Because that's what we're gonna need. But first, let's save and see if there's anything else we can do before we get to that point of facing the Minotaur. Alright, yeah, we've reached that point, looks like. The end of the hallway here. Let's have a look. A look of fury paints the beast's face as he takes notice of you. The hulking figure of the Minotaur fills the hall, his axe ready to strike. There is but a moment before he buries the blade in your body. You must act now. Want a rock, Mr. Minotaur? A vicious snarl bleeds from the Minotaur's clenched teeth as he begins his swing. Time slows as torchlight flickers off the beast's axe, with the weapon moving in a perfect arc toward your abdomen. Just lovely, you think, an instant before the blade cleaves your body in two. With what little life is left, your head tilts up off the floor to see the blade coming once more. Directly towards your skull! You have died, the skies darken, and the world is doomed. So I knew that would happen, obviously, but we had to do the death route first. Alright, we can still, okay, it remembers that he, is angry at us, but if you step back here, it lets you, take the time to construct your weapon. So that's what we're gonna do real quick. So we're gonna use the leather strap on the rope. You're not sure if you should feel mischievous or heroic at the moment. I say why not both. Let's see. And then we will load it up with the stone. Now you've got something useful. Time to find a target. Now we can take out the Minotaur. Whoosh! As soon as you start twirling the sling, you feel a magical influence take over your body. "Death to the Philistine!" you cry, as you release the stone. With a sharp crack, the stone connects with the Minotaur's forehead, toppling him instantly. Elated, you resolve to never admit the shot was sheer luck, or explain why you randomly called a 7-foot half-man, half-bull a Philistine. Let's take a look at him real quick. You reach for the axe to finish off the Minotaur. Despite pulling with all of your might, however, you fail to even budge the weapon. You decide to escape quickly before the beast awakens. Yeah, that would probably be smart. Alright, now we can actually look at this door without getting killed. This locked, heavy wooden door would take ages to break through. This door is made of nigh indestructible wood from the Torlin forest. It is also locked. Now before we worry about those doors, let's take a look up these steps to the left. Not much we can do here anyway, so we might as well see what it says when we look at this area. This stairwell connects the castle Gwynenthal with the dungeons below. The door won't budge. It's probably barred on the other side. And indeed it is. If we try to use the keys, it will tell us that that will not work. You sigh with dismay as you finish trying the last of the keys. The door must be barred. Yep. To prevent an escape, there must be another way out of this dungeon. Let's go find it. You slide the key into the lock, and with a smooth turn of your wrist, unlock the cell door. That's right, this is the empty cell. Couldn't remember. I know it's in the behind the two doors, but I couldn't remember which was which. So, we'll look around here real quick. You notice that a thick layer of dust seems to be resting on everything within this cell. It's obvious that this particular room hasn't been used for a very long time. The grate is bent just enough for you to fit your fingers underneath. Unfortunately, it is too heavy to lift with your hands alone. We will need to find us some leverage. Let's unlock the last door. After fumbling with the keys for an embarrassing amount of time, you are relieved to hear the lock slide open. Burp, we gotta open it, not move it. There we go. This cell stinks just as bad as the others you have visited in your short time here. The regal bearing of this man is not diminished by his unkempt appearance. The weary prisoner looks up at you. A glimmer of hope fills his eyes. He says, "Huh. I know not who thou art, little one, but I have no choice but to trust thee. Know that I am King Arond, Lord of Cal Torlin, Warder of the Southern Seas, and still do I live. Listen carefully, my wayward friend. Fiends have usurped my castle, imprisoned me and my loyal confidants within this dungeon for reasons unknown. Those who keep me alive do so because I refuse to tell them where the royal seal has been kept for time immemorial." Suddenly you hear the jailer, whom you gallantly knocked out, thank you very much, start yelling at the top of his lungs. The king looks alarmed, his speech quickening. "Take this." He rips the emblem from his sleeve and hands it to you. "Find the man who is called the Hunter. He and a few others I trust will recognize this crest. Tell the hunter, the raven still lives in the depths. Outside the cell, the jailer continues to bellow. The Raven King, that reminds me of my brother's D&D campaign. Even a Raven King who they thought was dead. But that's probably where the similarity ends. I just think it's kind of funny and kind of cool. The royal seal is obscured by sorcery. There is a scroll containing the disenchantment spell behind a loose stone in a castle stair. Seek the hidden way from my chamber, and say to thyself the words from the scroll.
You must recite the words, Clatu Verata Nictu.
Quickly now, you must leave before the guard returns. Now I got the king's emblem, which I didn't actually look at last time, so let's quickly do that. It is a tattered emblem of a raven flying across a field of red. Cool. Alright, let's save. And the jailer is locked up, but he is awake and raising a ruckus, so we should probably make haste. And I realized I forgot something in the king's, so let's go back and grab that real quick. We need this. The upper part of the bone is sturdy and broad enough for you to hold with two hands. It appears that rats have gnawed the bottom half to a point. You lift the tibia bone from the floor. Alright, now we got what we need to get out of here. Alright, let's use the tibia bone on the grate in the floor. You lever the bone under the bent grate and push down with all your might. Something gives way and the grate flies open, just as the bone snaps apart. Alright, no going back. Fearlessly, you jumped down into the drain, thinking that it can't be any worse than an enraged Minotaur. You fall an indeterminable distance before hitting cold water. Gasping for air, you bob to the surface of a subterranean river, smashing your head into a low-hanging stalactite. You quickly lose consciousness, and the current carries you down the river. You wake to discover that you have been washed ashore. Shivering and coughing, you shake your head in hopes of clearing away your double vision. Have a look around. You can see a passageway carved out of rock. At the end, a bucket rests in a pool of water. Okay, and that's across the river stream here, which we do not want to try and cross. You shiver uncontrollably as you look into the swiftly flowing river. You were never noted for your swimming abilities, and the thought of braving the water again fills you with dread. Yeah, trying to cross this, not a good idea. At least not without some way to safely get across without going in. So, we will come back to this passageway in a bit and see what is this way. A dim glow illuminates this passageway. You hear the powerful roar of the river as it rapidly flows into the tunnel. You hear scratching and scuffling sounds coming from beyond this passageway. I'm gonna save real quick. You have absolutely no idea what this creature is. Which is pretty much when I first played it, I'm like, what is that? And then the game answered me with, you have absolutely no idea. but it appears to be some sort of mutation straight out of one of your grandfather's famous tales. You vow to take his stories a little more seriously from now on. I think it'll say the same thing if I look again, but I'm gonna double check. Yeah. It's a large hoard of gleaming silver farthings that any thief would be willing to kill for. And this guy is huddled over it. But I'm sure he wouldn't mind if we helped ourselves to just one more, so we have 2 farthings. The beast looks up at you, making you feel decidedly uncomfortable. And actually, he'll do that if you try to make any move in this room other than observing him or the coins, so this is what we want to happen. What I thought you wanted to do, and what I was convinced had to be what I needed to do, was give him my farthing. I think that was more my King's Quest showing. It can smell the farthing in your pocket. It surely wants to add it to its collection. But we actually need him to help us get across the river, which I figured out once I realized, unlike the Minotaur when I go one screen to the south, he's not gonna just wait for me. Yeah, he wants my farthing even if he has to rip me apart to get it. So we gotta be quick. And you may notice that the Grim Reaper above my window here is flashing. His eyes are flashing red. But that's okay, we want to see him kill me anyways. I was too busy explaining what the Grim Reaper up here is for, if you haven't already guessed. It's your warning that death is imminent, but I think it's a cool use of the character who only appeared on the game over screens in the previous game, if I recall. Either way, it's neat. It's not in the NES version of the remake that way, so I haven't played the Apple version in a while. With a quick lunge, the hulking beast attacks you, ripping out a good-sized portion of your neck. The beast claims its prize, a shiny new Fenling farthing, plucked straight from the cold dead hand of a genuine Fenling. Right from the source, guys. You have failed in your quest. All that you loved will perish with you. Alright, so what we want to do is have him chase us, and then throw the farthing into the water. Let's just try and be nice and give him the farthing, because why can't we be generous? Well, that's a take. I want to use. He don't care. He doesn't want the money unless he can kill me for it. So let's quickly get down to the screen and use farthing on the water. You'll pull your lucky Fenling farthing from your pocket. The creature stares at the coin as you hurl it into the water. With something resembling a squeal of pleasure, the beast plunges into the swirling water and starts foraging along the bottom of the river for the shiny coin. You are impressed with its strength as it stands against the river's strong current. Now all we gotta do, and he won't even care, is just move across his back to the bucket on the other side. With a hop, skip, and a jump, you quickly leap from the beast's back and safely cross the river. Well, this surely is a well. At least it's some sign of civilization. You feel relief and freedom. It's close at hand. We're almost there, guys. You recognize this as the bucket of a drinking well. Pondering for a moment, you suspect townsfolk used this spot as a wishing well, which explains the various coins collected by that creature. Luckily, your ability to climb far exceeds your swimming prowess. This is your ticket to freedom. I don't think we can take the bucket. I'm pretty sure I tried. last time, and you failed to take it. We're not gonna take it. All we gotta do is climb. After an exhausting climb, your hand grasps the lip of the well as the rope snaps free and falls below. Panting and hanging on for life, you grab the stone wall with both hands and clamber over the lip of the well, landing in the mud with a dull thud. Glancing around to make sure no one saw you embarrassingly knock the wind out of yourself, you take ample time to rise to your feet. Easy as pie, you gasp, while catching your breath and thinking to yourself, there's not a dungeon in the world that can hold Del Thornborough. Looking ahead, you see city streets expand before you. A sigh of relief escapes you as the sun warms your face, and a breeze ruffles your hair. Suddenly, the charge of the king echoes through your mind. Find the royal seal, expose the traitors, and save our kingdom. Remembering the king's plight, you steel your nerves and step forth into the city of Gwynenfell. Your determination is strong, an unusual feeling for a Fenling. You sense you'll end up regretting this decision. We can have a quick look around on this screen. The gloomy and cramped atmosphere of the city street creates a yearning in your wide-open spaces. What? In his wide-open spaces, let's try that again. The gloomy and cramped atmosphere of the city street creates a yearning in you for wide-open spaces. Remembering the beast below, you have no interest in returning down the well. This wishing well has both created and destroyed the dreams and desires of many. That's deep. Literally, it was a deep well, huh? Alright. Final screen. The first demo's end. Thanks for playing. Adventure awaits beyond Shadowgate. And that's the demo for Beyond Shadowgate, everyone. I wish I could have brought you my initial first reactions and such playing it, but all the same, I can't wait to continue this. It's supposed to be far larger than the original Shadowgate in terms of scope and content, characters, locations, and I love how it's expanding the lore, because ever since I played that first game as a kid on NES, I've been intrigued by the greater world around that mysterious castle, and you really don't get a whole lot of it in that first game, at least as far as I made it. I never got to beat the NES version at the time, and full disclaimer, I have yet to beat it. I have beat the remake, and intend to go back and finish the NES, or maybe the Apple version sometime. But after finishing Zojoy's 2014 version, and that tease for the continuation, I can't wait to finally further the story of that world and Shadowgate. So the crowdfunding campaign is over, but the game is available for pre-order, and a lot of related collectibles and swag, as well as this demo, can be found there on the Kickstarter page still. Some awesome stuff there for Shadowgate fans indeed. You can also find out more about Shadowgate on the Zojoy website, and I'll include links in the description for those of you who want to look into this further. Stay tuned to the channel for more Passing Down the Adventurer's Cap soon, and I'm also hoping to get back to streaming more of Stray on the PlayStation 5 in the foreseeable future, but making that time has been tricky, and then everyone also in the household started passing around a stomach virus, and we all got sick, so it's been interesting. But this happened to cross my radar just as I was starting to feel better, and I couldn't resist. So much I wound up playing the demo twice. Anyways, I hope you had fun checking out Beyond Shadowgate with me, and as I mentioned, you can find this demo on the Kickstarter page if you want to play it for yourself, and pre-order the game from there as well as their website. You can also find it on Steam and on my personal favorite platform for such things, GOG or GOG, and that's where I intend to get my copy of the game when it releases in September. Or at least that is the current planned window for it, from what I understand. So, here's hoping. That'd be perfect in time for my birthday, so. If any of this looks like something you'd be into, also check out the original Shadowgate. The Mac Ventures version and the 2014 remake are still available digitally on most of those aforementioned platforms as well. Until next time, everyone, thank you for watching, and keep your torches lit.